Hi, Mystery Recapped here. Today, I'm going to explain an American comedy film called Shallow Hal. Spoilers ahead. Watch out and take care. A preteen named Hal Larson is by the side of his father, who is on his deathbed. With the last few moments Mr. Larson has left, he talks about how much he regrets marrying Hal's mother. He tells his son to never settle for love and always go for hotter women.
Thanks for scarring me for life, Dad.
The comment leaves a huge impression on Hal, who eventually grows up to become a shallow man. His obsession with women's bodies and their looks keeps him from seeing their true inner beauty. Currently, he works a 9 to 5, but the highlight of his day is going to a club every night to get with a different girl. Hal's partner in crime is his equally shallow friend, Mauricio. He is a below-average, entitled man who recently broke up with his girlfriend because of her oddly shaped toes. As they talk about women, Hal mentions that he has started dating his hot neighbor, Jill. But when he meets Jill later that night, she blows him off. Hal persists that they go out on a second date, but Jill just doesn't feel attracted to him. To someone with an ego as huge as Hal's, the comment hits home. At work the following day, Hal is excited because he is about to get a long-awaited promotion. However, his day gets worse when someone else lands it instead. Later, Hal walks into the elevator and meets the popular life coach, Tony Robbins. As they have a chat, the elevator suddenly stops, and it takes the building management a really long time to get them out. In the meantime, Tony and Hal get to know each other. It is evident by their comments that they are polar opposites of each other. Tony is in love with a single woman who he respects and adores, while Hal tries to get him to talk about how hot his woman is. Tony also learns about Hal's non-existent love life and realizes it is because of his shallowness. As a life coach, he presents Hal with simple advice: to date a person for their inner beauty. Hal still doesn't take the advice seriously, so Tony uses one of his hypnosis techniques on him. Without Hal realizing it, he begins to see average-looking women as hot and attractive. Outside his office, he encounters a woman who he would consider a 10 out of 10 in attractiveness. They both catch a taxi at the same time and decide to share the ride. Throughout the ride, Hal continuously flirts with the girl and compliments her beauty. When they are about to separate, Hal asks for the woman's number, which surprises her. The girl introduces herself as Katrina, and they share their numbers before Hal departs. Then, he meets Mauricio for a drink, as always, and boasts about how he got a hot girl's number. A while later, Mauricio returns from the washroom to a strange sight. Hal is dancing with two women who do not appear to be his usual type. Then we find out that, to Hal, the below-average women appear conventionally attractive and skinny. Tony's hypnosis has literally changed the way he sees people. A horrified Mauricio wants to take his friend away from the girls, who seem to have cast a spell on him. However, Hal doesn't want to leave the pretty ladies on the dance floor by themselves. Hal's neighbor Jill is also at the club. She too notices him dancing with the girls and starts changing her view about him. The next day, Hal is driving down a busy road when his eyes land on the most beautiful girl he has ever seen. Her name is Rosie, and in reality, she is an obese woman who is the opposite of Hal's type. But because of his new vision, Hal likes her so much that he follows her into a clothing store. He bluntly approaches Rosie and compliments her. Initially, Rosie thinks he is trying to berate her, since she is not used to men walking up to her with compliments. She tries ignoring him, but his repeated progressions makes her register that he is actually interested in her. They go out on a lunch date and get to know more about each other. Rosie works as a volunteer in a children's hospital and is looking to re-up in the Peace Corps. She is definitely someone with a pure heart who likes to help people when she can. This attribute of hers impresses Hal more than he envisioned. Rosie orders half the things on the menu, which Hal thinks is strange because he is used to girls ordering salad on first dates. As they chat, he also discovers that Rosie is the daughter of the president of the company where he works. Suddenly, the chair that Rosie is seated on breaks, making her embarrassingly fall to the floor. Unaware that it was caused by her weight, Hal yells at the manager for using cheap chairs. The couple is about to separate after the date, when Hal asks Rosie for a second one. The proposal almost makes her cry. On their next date, Hal introduces Rosie to a surprised Mauricio. He is confused as to how someone like Hal could date a girl like her. When she is not around, he calls her a rhino and asks his friend to come back to his senses. However, Hal is too smitten by Rosie to understand what Mauricio is talking about. Then, we see Rosie taking Hal to the hospital to meet the sick children she volunteers to take care of. They are all very welcoming and sweet to Hal. Meeting the happy kids who have gone through so much in their lives gives him a different kind of satisfaction that he has never experienced. A little girl named Cadence catches his attention because of his frank persona. He entertains the kids and makes them love him, which further impresses Rosie. She comments that since Hal is not afraid of the children, it will help boost their confidence. The statement confuses him because who would be afraid of such adorable children? Later that day, Rosie walks Hal to his apartment and bumps into Jill. When Jill finds out Rosie is Hal's girlfriend, she is amused and a bit offended that he doesn't like her anymore. Hal invites Rosie to his apartment and she awkwardly walks in. Initially, she is a bit nervous, having never been to a guy's place before, but Hal makes her feel at home with his jokes. Things go downhill when Rosie mentions that she is not pretty. She believes the statement, but Hal insists otherwise. He showers her with compliments that offend her because she thinks he is obviously lying. The night ends when she abruptly leaves without saying anything. Hal doesn't know what he did wrong, but he doesn't have to ponder over it for long. The very next morning, Rosie comes home to apologize for overreacting over a compliment. In the following montage, we see them going out on several dates, getting to know each other better, and slowly falling in love. Then, one day, the couple goes to Rosie's parents' home for dinner. Since Steve is Hal's boss, he is more nervous than usual. Things get awkward when Hal comments that Rosie gets her figure from her mother. But other than that, the dinner goes pretty well. When Hal is alone with Steve, Steve calls him out for dating his daughter to get ahead in his career. Hal in turn calls him a horrible father for making Rosie feel like she's not good enough to have a boyfriend who genuinely likes her. He blames Steve for making Rosie feel ugly when she is the most beautiful person inside and out. The comment makes his boss shut up. Later, Hal and Rosie are at his home when things get steamy. Rosie is nervous because she has always been insecure about her body, but Hal makes her feel like the prettiest girl in the world. They share a beautiful night together. The following morning, Jill sees Rosie walking down the hallway and puts two and two together. Something about Hal falling for an uglier girl hurts her ego, and she starts making advances at him. She gives him a bottle of wine as a gift and suggests they play video games at night. However, to her surprise, Hal turns her down. The next day, Hal impresses everyone at work with his presentation. Amazed by his creativity and personality, Steve promotes him to a higher position than his current boss. One day, Hal and Rosie go on a double date with his friend Walt and his girlfriend Tanya. During their date, the couple bumps into Ralph. He is Rosie's ex-boyfriend and a member from the Peace Corps. Rosie and he share a small chat, but Ralph doesn't fail to notice that she looks very happy. In the meantime, Mauricio is still not ready to accept the fact that his friend can be in love with someone obese. He somehow finds Tony Robbins and asks what he did to his friend. Tony dodges the question at first, but when Mauricio refuses to leave him alone, he admits to hypnotizing Hal into seeing women's inner beauty. He also reveals that to end the state of hypnosis, Mauricio has only to say the phrase, "Shallow Hal wants a gal," to him. Meanwhile, Rosie tells Hal that her ex-boyfriend Ralph has invited her to join him on a 14-month-long mission in Kiribati for the Peace Corps. Although she will be going for a good cause, Hal gets upset because he thinks she wants to get together with Ralph. Suddenly, Rosie's weight causes yet another chair to break down. Hal helps her up before having a word with the manager about their cheap services. While he is away from the table, he gets a call from Mauricio, who says the trigger phrase, but doesn't get to explain the whole story. The phrase causes Hal to return to his normal self without him realizing it. He notices the real Rosie sitting at his table and looks at her in confusion. Before he figures out what is going on, Mauricio arrives in a rush and tells him everything. Hal initially thinks his friend is jealous and bluffing, but then he bumps into Katrina, the first girl who he met after being hypnotized. Her face confirms that he was in fact not in his right mind whenever he was with Rosie. Hal panics and runs home without informing his girlfriend. He wants to go back to the hypnotic state because he loves Rosie and doesn't want his feelings to change when he sees her actual face. For the next few days, Hal actively avoids meeting Rosie, while simultaneously trying to get a hold of Tony so he can be hypnotized again. A few days later, Jill invites him to dinner at a restaurant. Amidst all the things happening right now, Hal is the least interested in grabbing a bite with her, but she insists to a point where refusing would be rude. He eventually gives in, and the two go out for dinner. Jill takes the opportunity to tell him she has noticed the subtle changes in him and is impressed. She is clearly interested in dating him, but Hal has only one person on his mind. Jill's advances make him realize that he is in love with Rosie. Coincidentally, Rosie and her family arrive at the same restaurant at the same time. she sees her boyfriend, who has been ignoring her for the past week, holding hands with another girl. Rosie automatically assumes they are dating and is left heartbroken. Hal walks right past her, but doesn't recognize her, which makes her feel worse than she already did. But in reality, he is walking to a payphone to call her. He does so and tries to reassure her of his feelings. However, Rosie breaks up with him before ending the call. A few days pass that are the hardest days for both Rosie and Hal. Hal finds out from her father that her ex-boyfriend Ralph wants to be in a relationship with Rosie again. Hal goes to the hospital where she works to look for her, but instead bumps into Cadence. He had seen the little girl with a perfect face when he came previously, but now with the filter of hypnosis gone, he sees the little girl has severe burns all over her face. Still, her confidence and will to live life inspires him to his core. Her personality is enough for Hal to change his perception of physical beauty. Hal also discovers that Mauricio has an inoperable vestigial tail, because of which he breaks up with women before they get into the second phase of the relationship. Being a good friend, Hal convinces Mauricio to accept his abnormality. I remember that scene traumatizing me when I was a child. Then, Hal heads to the Peace Corps recruiting office, where he doesn't find Rosie but meets Ralph. Ralph informs him that Rosie's parents are throwing her a farewell party before she leaves for the Peace Corps mission. Hal, Ralph, and Mauricio crash the party, where Hal apologizes to Rosie. Although she is mad at him, she loves him too much to not forgive him. The pair reconcile as the crowd cheers. Hal tries to pick his girlfriend up, but when he is not successful, Rosie does the favor for him. In the last scene, Mauricio also finds a girl who is interested in him, despite his condition. They walk into the sunset as he wags his tail. Subscribe for more videos like this, turn on notifications, and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.